I was at home playing Fortnite when the doorbell rang. So of course I got up to answer it. Which was really weird because I was in the middle of a match. Like I wouldn't normally get up in the middle of a match and like throw, but I did in this experience, which was weird. But whatever, it happens, I guess, to some people. When I answered the door, you're not gonna believe this, or maybe you will. It was Duane. It was you. You were there at the door. And I've never seen Duane in one of my experiences before. Kind of looked like an older version of the Duane in like all the arts that I've seen that he's in. And he was like, "Well, Eric, I made it despite your directions." I was like, "Hey, Duane, welcome. I hope you're ready for an unforgettable luncheon." That's when I realized that I guess we were going to have lunch together, and that was the plan. So I walked Duane over to my dining table, and he sat down. And then I went into the kitchen, I guess to check on the food that was already cooking. But as I got in there and I checked the oven, I noticed that the food was burning. I was like, oh fuck, my roast is ruined. And I didn't know what to do because I wanted to give Duane a nice meal while he was at my home. But then I looked out the window and I saw a Burger King down the street. And there isn't actually like a Burger King there in the physical, so I don't know why it was there. But I guess in the experience, I didn't think it was so weird, so we'll just go with it. I kind of talked out loud to myself and I said something like, what if I were to purchase fast food and disguise it as my own cooking? I guess I figured that was a pretty good idea because I kind of chuckled and said, delightfully devilish, Eric. I started like trying to climb out of the window to sneak over to this Burger King when Duane walked into the kitchen, probably to check on me. I got kind of frightened because I didn't expect him to come in there. So I was like, oh, Duane, I was just like stretching my calves on the windowsill. Some good exercise. You want to join? And Duane kind of pointed at the oven and asked why there was smoke coming out of it. And I kind of lied, I guess. And I said that it's not smoke, it's actually steam from the steamed clams that I was making. I wasn't actually making steamed clams, I just kind of said that I was. And I guess Duane believed me because he went back into the dining room after that. So I climbed out of the window and brushed the Burger King. When I got there, I ordered a Whopper for the both of us, and I hurried back home. It's going pretty quick. I climbed back into the kitchen through the window, and I got plates for the Whoppers, and I brought them out to Duane in the dining room. It's like fine plates. And I said something like, I hope you're ready for mouth-watering hamburgers. And he was all like, I thought we were having steamed clams. I was like, no, I said steamed hams. That's what I call hamburgers. And Duane didn't seem to buy it because he asked, you call hamburgers steamed hams? He kind of sounded in disbelief. So I was just like, yeah, man, it's a regional dialect. Duane asked me what region it was from, and I said it was from SoCal, which of course didn't work because Duane is from Huntington Beach, and that's what he said. He said he's never heard anyone from SoCal call them steamed hams. I told him it was just an expression in San Diego, and that seemed to convince him. So we started eating the Whoppers. They were pretty good. A little burnt, but that's typical for Burger King. At one point, Duane said something along the lines of, these hamburgers taste a lot like the ones they sell at Burger King. And I was just kind of like, no. They're Eric burgers. It's an old family recipe with my own twist. Duane had that disbelief look again, and they said, for steamed hams? And I was like, yeah. So we kept eating for a bit, and then he stopped and said, you call them steamed hams despite the fact that they're obviously grilled? And I started to panic a little bit because I didn't really know what to say. But then I kind of heard some sound coming from the kitchen, so I went to check on it. And bro, that place was so on fire. Like literally, it was burning. The roast I was cooking earlier, I guess, caught fire, and the fire was spreading throughout the kitchen, and it wasn't great. So I went back out to Duane, and I was like, "Well, that was a great time, man. Feeling real tired, and kind of want to take a nap." And Duane was saying that he should be going too. But as he got up, he noticed the light coming from the kitchen and asked what was happening in there. I went with an excuse and I said it was Aurora Borealis. Probably crossed my fingers that would work too. Duane looked like he was in shock at that. I think he said something like, Aurora Borealis at this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen. And I just rolled with it and I said, yeah, man. He kind of looked at me for a moment and then he asked if he could see it. I said no. Then I walked Duane out the door and I was about to say goodbye and thanks. I heard some voice at the top floor where my bedroom is. I kind of got the sense that it was Fubby's voice for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Anyways, he yelled down to me and said, Eric, the house is on fire. I said, nah, bro, it's just the northern lights. Then Duane turned to me and said, well, Eric, that was a bit strange, but you steam a good ham. And we sang Knew You together, and I gave him a pat on the head for some reason, and he flew off into the distance. And finally I rushed inside and up the stairs to help Fubby or whoever it was, and that's all I can remember of it.
Okay, that's cool. Many sides to it. How do you see it, Eric?
I don't know, man. I probably should have steamed my own hams. I don't know.
Well, it's not entirely about that. Those are the ideas. Okay. So again, it's kind of the procedure. You know, it's like if you're watching a movie or something and someone's showing you, like one of those cooking movies, they're showing you how to cook, but it's not really what's being cooked so much. It's about the procedure, how to cook it, right? Because that's what they're showing you. You know, they could just show you a piece of meat and it's like, look, here's a piece of meat. But no, they show you the procedure as to how to cook the meat. So really what you're looking at, what your interest is that what is the procedure that I do to get that piece of meat cooked? I know what a piece of meat looks like. So again, it's the procedures that you're going through, and you'll notice that what you're doing is it's not, I would say it's not typical Eric, or maybe it is, and that is that you're making things up as you go, aren't you?
Oh, that's what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. See, again, that's what you're doing. You're making things up, and Duane already knows what you're doing. He's just going along with it, just like me here, just like your campaign manager.
Wait, what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, that's the other Duane, too. There's many Duanes, okay?
Wait,
so we all have various bodies and identities, etc. And so again...
Wait, how many of you are there?
Well, it's not a matter of how many there are. It's just that all of us are everywhere.
I could be like next door neighbors with a Duane. That's crazy. Anyway,
well,
continue. Sorry.
It's only crazy if you think so. Okay, so when you think along those lines, yeah, you're crazy, and so are they. So again, you decide how you're going to think. Remember, that's thinking, that's not awareness. So we're all awareness, and actually we're everywhere. So whatever we need to operate. So the Duane in this experience knows what's going on. He's just playing along with you because you're the kid. You know, it's like parents with children. And let's say that the child wants to cook something, you know, seen mommy do it a few times, and the little kid, you know, is 5 years old. Oh, mommy, I want to cook something, etc. So things come out funny, don't they? Because, you know, mommy lets the kid cook and go through all the steps, spill stuff on the floor, whatever, make a big mess, whatever. Just like your kitchen's on fire. Okay, the kid's in the kitchen. And so again, end result is, all right, I got to figure something else out because I ruined this. So what else will I do? Well, again, this experience is showing you how, you know, you can improvise. You see, because the situations aren't always going to come out the way you want to. So you have to be ready to improvise. And so this is what you did. You improvised. And so again, and getting that agreement, all right? See, you have a lot to learn. So these ideas and that, you're going to have to go over many times for many, many, many years to finally figure it out. But again, see, when you went out, you improvised, you went and got the burgers, brought them back in, and then you were looking for agreement, weren't you? You were doing everything you could to convince that Duane that, oh yeah, this is my, grandmother's recipe or whatever, etc. And Duane was having fun with you. Well, if it is, then why is this thing grilled, etc., or whatever it is. Just having fun with you because, this is, it's kind of like your first meal that you've ever cooked, as an example. And, things happen in the kitchen, etc. In other words, you burnt the meal because you don't know how to cook yet. And it's not about cooking. It's about creating, Eric. When people are cooking, when you're in the kitchen, it's about creating. Now, in other words, you could buy an apple and just eat that. That's fine. But in our lifestyle, we do things in the kitchen and we create things, don't we? So you burnt it. So you went out and got something standard, all right, to replace it, to improvise. Now, it's not a lie, okay? It has nothing to do with lying or whatever. You just simply improvised. You did the best you can. You made up an interesting story. It's all fun. It's harmless, etc. It's not like political speeches where they promise you everything and they steal everything from you. That's different, okay? So, in other
I
words,
wouldn't do that, though.
yeah, well, of course not. That's why you're here, because again, the boys wouldn't choose you. See, they chose you. You're thinking that, oh, you found us. No, they chose you and brought you along to where you started to wake up and see it. They chose you. They choose everybody. So again, it's like a farmer that has an apple orchard, and he goes along and looks for the fresh apples. He doesn't choose every apple because they're not all ready. And so, but he chooses the apples that are the most ready and leaves the other ones on the vine still, okay, on the branches. And so you have been chosen. You've been given an opportunity to see what you can do. You're kind of at that point where you're kind of ready. And so again, your part is to help yourself along to make yourself ready also. But this is, one good way to look at this is that you were improvising, all right? You were improvising through the whole thing. And again, you made all the decisions. You started the cooking in the kitchen. You started doing this or that. And yes, all of a sudden someone's at the door, and surprise, this is how life is. It's always going to surprise you. So you decide how ready you are going to be. So there's a lot going on in this experience, Eric, and you decide how you're going to see it and understand it.